Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show on ET Now. Well, as we speak, we are unfortunately in the midst of a second wave, and a wave that's come in with a lot of force of COVID-19 in the country. More than 70,000 cases per day in India, a maximum chunk of them from Maharashtra, and I'm sure this has got you all looking back at your health insurance covers. Are you adequately covered? For those who may not be, and for those who may find affordability as well a problem, the government introduced a product, a standardized COVID-19 health cover, which comes in two forms, Corona Rakshak and Corona Kawach. Further, the government has also allowed for these policy covers to be renewed for yet another year. Now is the time that many may consider renewing them, considering that most of them may have applied for it last year. So should you do that, given the resurgence in cases? Should you rather port to a more comprehensive medical cover? We'll discuss all of this and more. We have with us Mr. Roopan Asthana of Liberty General Insurance. Mr. Asthana, thank you so much for joining in today on the show. So to start with, sir, do you think that there's a case to buy a standardized COVID health cover, or would you rather recommend, that people stick with their general comprehensive Mediclaim policies? Which one do you think is suitable for what kind of individual?
First of all, I think the best policy is the policy of social distancing, wearing mask and washing your hands with soap and water. But there are times when that policy also fails, and in which case you do need health insurance to protect you and protect your financial well-being. In that context, when we look at the corona specific products that have been introduced by the IRDAI, there are two of them, which is Corona Kawach and Corona Rakshak. Corona Kawach is an indemnity policy which basically pays for hospitalization, whereas Corona Rakshak is a benefit policy that pays out a fixed amount in case you are detected to have COVID. Now, my personal opinion here is clearly that these products should be looked at and considered by those consumers who currently do not have any other health insurance coverage with them. And along with that, if they believe that from an affordability point of view, they are not able to commit to a premium for the comprehensive health insurance coverage that is available in the market. So that's the first thing. In that kind of a scenario, if you have to choose between a Corona Kawach and a Corona Rakshak, my preference would be for Corona Kawach. The reason being that Corona Kawach comes up to a sum insured of 5 lakhs, whereas Corona Rakshak only comes up to 2.5 lakhs. So it provides you, a greater level of coverage, especially in case of hospitalization, and therefore gives you more protection. In terms of the premiums, I guess, for Corona Kawach and Corona Rakshak, the premiums vary from company to company and could be anything in the range of 400 rupees per month to in the range of 600 or 700 rupees per month, depending on the age group you are in and the amount that you are looking to buy. So if you're looking to buy the maximum for the maximum period, which is say 9.5 months, it could be in that range. So this is really where we are. But my recommendation to those who can afford it is that they should go for a comprehensive health coverage that provides them protection, not just against COVID, but all other kinds of illnesses and all other kinds of hospitalizations and hospital procedures.
Okay. Mr. Asthana, how and where, I know you mentioned quite a few of, the reasons why you believe that a general Mediclaim would be better, but how and where does a general Mediclaim also score over a standardized COVID cover?
Yes, so I think, the general Mediclaim offers, one is as a product, it is a product that you can renew lifelong. So it's not a short-term product, but it is a product that you can actually renew and continue coverage for a longer period of time. Number one. Number two, in terms of sum insureds, the comprehensive health insurance cover, which is provided by most insurance companies, goes, all the way up to even up to 1 crore of coverage. Whereas the Corona Rakshak and Corona Kawach have 2.5 lakhs, 5 lakhs kind of limit. So which is in today's day and time very inadequate. That's the second reason why I would, second big difference that we have between the comprehensive and the Corona Kawach and Rakshak. So the time available for coverage, the amount of sum insured available, and the comprehensiveness of the general Mediclaim kind of cover, which covers more illnesses. So, today there is a COVID issue, but tomorrow there could be a dengue issue, or day after there could be another issue. Therefore, a comprehensive health cover, which you can renew for a lifelong, is obviously much better protection, offers you much better protection.
Okay, now let's talk about the two kinds of standardized covers. There's Corona Rakshak and Corona Kawach. I know you broadly outlined, the basics of the two in the first answer, but let's talk about suitability as well. Who do you think would be more suited for a Kawach, and who do you think can make do with a Rakshak? What are the premium costs between the two? If you could elaborate all of this.
Yes, so there are the basic difference between the two is that Corona Kawach comes into play when you are hospitalized, and it basically covers your hospitalization costs. So it will cover your room rent, the treatment costs, the diagnostics, the PPE kits, gloves, etc., etc. So the entire the cost of the doctor's treatment, etc. So that's what is covered in Corona Kawach. The Corona Rakshak as a plan is a benefit plan. So the Corona Rakshak actually comes into play when you have been detected as positive with COVID, and at the same point in time have been hospitalized for a minimum of 72 hours. In Corona Kawach, even if you're hospitalized for 24 hours, your hospitalization bills get covered. In Corona Rakshak, unless you're hospitalized for 72 hours, the benefits don't kick in. In the case of Corona Rakshak, assume you have been tested as COVID positive and have been hospitalized for 72 hours at a minimum, then you get a flat payout. So if, the maximum available there is 2.5 lakhs. So assuming you have bought a policy for 2.5 lakhs, you would get a check of 2.5 lakhs, which would come directly to you or credit into your account. It doesn't matter how much you have spent on hospitalization. So this is the the configuration of these two products. Now, in case you have the capability of being treated at home, which means that you have a home which is large enough where you can have a room and a toilet to yourself, where you can be quarantined and have relationships with doctors who can treat you through telemedicine kind of variety, then you could look at Corona Rakshak. But again, that is available to you as a benefit product. In case you do not have the luxury of being quarantined in a separate room with a separate toilet available to you, then there is no option for you but to go in for hospitalization, in which case the Corona Kawach would be a better product for you. So I think it depends on your own personal situation at home and the complications that could be there. So for example, there could be some existing illnesses that you may have, in which case your hospitalization could get more complex. COVID could result in some other, effects which will also need to get treated. Now, those get covered in Corona Kawach. And because Corona Kawach has a higher sum insured going all the way up to 5 lakh, it provides a little bit more comprehensive coverage, in my opinion.
So for someone who already has, a COVID cover, do you think they should renew given the rise in COVID cases, or, switch to a more general cover? I ask you this question because, yes, if you have to pick between the two, when you're starting off, it's an easy choice, like you mentioned, comprehensive. But for somebody who already has a COVID cover, they may be tempted to continue with that.
See, I have always stated that a comprehensive medical insurance cover is a much better option. However, if you already have a Corona specific product, and from your financial position point of view, at this point in time, you are not in a position to commit to paying the larger premium for a comprehensive coverage, then you should certainly go for extension of or a renewal of your current Corona product. Because the way things are progressing at this point in time, the end of the pandemic does not look to be in sight, for the next 6, 8, 9 months. And therefore, my recommendation would be that those consumers should seriously consider renewal of their existing Corona-specific products.
All right. Okay. And finally, I'm going to sort of ask you this question on behalf of small business owners. Most of them have purchased a group cover for their employees. Which one would you recommend, a general one or a standardized COVID one?
first of all, I think it's very good that you have brought up this issue of small business owners, because small business owners and their employees are probably one of the largest group in our demographic setup within the country who remain very underpenetrated and very underinsured as far as health insurance is concerned. So first of all, I think it is going to be a fantastic incentive for business owners to provide their employees with some form of health cover. So that's the first thing. So there should be a health cover which the business owner should look to provide to their employees. This is for the good of everybody. That is the first thing. The second question is, now in case the business owner has decided to provide that kind of a group cover to their employees, what should they look at? Should they look at a specific corona group cover or a more comprehensive group cover? And I think here the logic that I have talked about earlier stands true here as well. And clearly, in my view, the small business owners should look to provide a more comprehensive health cover for their employees. Now, the question is again of affordability, and I think this is where we have to look at more novel ways of finding and financing there, where a small business owner can basically tell their employees that the business owner is looking to provide health cover to the employees, but the employees could probably contribute to say 10, 15, 20% of the premium that becomes due for them. So in that case, I think it's a win-win for everybody, and the employee gets a much larger and a much more comprehensive health coverage.
Well, we leave it at that, Mr. Asthana. Thank you so much for joining us today on ET. I'm sure it's been a very enlightening conversation for a lot of our viewers who may be really worried about the way the pandemic is once again resurging in India. And we will take a very short break on that note, but be back with Ask Penn with TMS Tech.